Hey friends, okay, I want to give you a recap on the Going for Gold call from last week because many people didn't get on or got kicked off, and I had some technical difficulties, but I think the message is really important. So I had this thought about when the wins come. I think a lot of us in life, or when we're trying to do this business, we are easily discouraged. We get frustrated, we get down, and we think, oh, well, maybe I should quit, or this isn't really worth it. And we start thinking things like that. But I had this thought of what happens when the wins come. And I had this image, this image popped up when I was searching the wind of the palm tree, which is why I was on that graphic, and thinking about what does a palm tree do when winds come. I mean, palm trees survive hurricanes. Palm trees survive all kinds of storms. And what do? They have roots that go in, and the winds bend them and shake them, and maybe leaves fall off, but they come right back up standing after the storms come. And so I think a lot of times the storms that come, the winds that come, they really show us who we are and how strong we are. Are we easily tossed back and forth by the wind and by the waves? Or do we hold firm? Do we hold steady? Do we use those winds and those storms to our advantage? Because those winds and those storms can become our excuses, or they can become our reasons. Another picture that I had is of the windmill. Okay, the windmill is a perfect example of how people decided to take wind, something that can be very destructive, and use it for their advantage. Use it into something that brings power, that gives life to people through the power it is. And so what are you going to choose? Are you going to be somebody who lets the winds and the wave toss them back and forth, changing your mind, changing your decisions, becoming discouraged, and letting that discouragement make your choices for you? Or are you going to be somebody who stands firm in the face of the wind, in the face of the discouragement, and say, the circumstances that are surrounding me do not determine who I am and do not determine the decisions I will make. In fact, they show me who I am. Right? It shows me that I will stand firm regardless of what happens. The Bible actually talks about this. There was a parable Jesus told about the wise and the foolish builder. The person who built their house on the sand, and how when the winds and the waves came, the house was flattened. That it had no firm foundation, and therefore it couldn't stand, right? But the person who built their house on the rock, which is Jesus, okay? The person who built their house on the rock had a firm foundation, and when the winds and the waves came, the house stood firm. So today I want to ask you, do you allow the storms of life to knock you over and to decide who you're going to be, the joy you're going to have, what you're going to give up on? Or do you allow your foundation and your values and your dreams and your goals and your integrity to determine what you're going to do today or what you're going to do tomorrow? Or do you let the fear of what other people think, people saying no to you, discouragement of not hitting a goal in the time that you want to, are you going to let those things make your decisions for you? So I don't want this to be a discouraging thing for you to sit here and think, oh man, I've let the winds rock me back and forth, and oh, that's discouraging. No, that's not the point of this, because what happens is when those winds come, when we feel that discouragement, we have a choice to now say, okay, because I feel discouraged in that way, and I've allowed that in the past to make me change my decisions or not stand firm, how can I grow those roots deeper? How can I build that foundation firmer, right? Because in the house analogy, you have to build the house. You have to decide where you're going to build it, what foundation you're going to build on, and you have to have the tools to build it, right? And so I want you to think of, you know what, if people saying no to me, or people not being consistent, or people rejecting the idea of this business or these products or whatever, if that has knocked you down in the past, I want you to say, okay, how can I make myself a firmer foundation? That is not going to make me doubt myself, but it's just going, okay, move on to the next person, move on to the next thing, bless and release, right? Whatever it is. And so you need to think about, where am I lacking in my foundation? Is it the things that I need to do every day, like reading some motivation, listening to some motivation, getting in scripture, praying, right? Is it being around people, surrounding myself with more people who are positive and who are encouraging and who speak life to me or who challenge me to do things that are hard, right? That is going to build that firm foundation, okay? Something that the Bible actually also talks about is it talks about when we're tossed back and forth in the waves, it compares that to being like an infant tossed back and forth of the waves. It's an immaturity. And I'm not saying this to you guys is that you're immature. I deal with this. I deal with this daily. Am I tired? Am I feeling a little bit down about something? Am I going to let that determine my day? Or am I going to say, in spite of that, I am going to choose to move in this direction because I have already decided that this is worthwhile. And this is something that I feel that I'm supposed to do and that I want to do. And so even when I get discouraged, I will not be swayed. So I would challenge you guys to think about what are the areas in my life, plexus related or not, where I allow discouragement or if my feelings to dictate my choices, right? Or the next step that I'm going to take. Where are those areas, and where can I firm up how can I firm up that foundation? What do I need to surround myself with? What do I need to pick up that's stronger than me, right? Because sometimes we just merely need an example of who can I follow, who can I look to, who has done this before, and who can show me what did they struggle with, and now how did they come out on the other side of it? How are they able to climb that mountain and to overcome it? Okay. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys, that it's encouraging, and that it shows that even when we're discouraged, we can make the choice to move forward through that discouragement, right? And to know that those things can just be a sign for us of change, of needing a firmer foundation, of growing deeper roots, of building a stronger foundation. And so we let our response to the winds be a signal to us that maybe things need to shift, maybe things need to change, and maybe we need to build a firm foundation. And I want you to also just hold on to that in your mind to say, do I use the storms that come to my advantage, or do I let them destroy me? Let's be people who use the storms to our advantage, who allow those things to empower us, who allow those things to shed light on who we are and on where we need to grow, so we can get stronger on the other side, so we can be better on the other side. So we use the wind to our advantage, like that windmill that literally feels the wind and spins around and gets power from it. Like a kite that could go crazy in the wind, but instead, when flown the right way, uses the wind to soar high and beautifully. Like an eagle, right? Who, when it is flying and soaring in the wind, spreads out its wings and is allowed to soar. Okay, so are you going to let the wind knock you down, or are you going to allow it to help you to soar? I hope you guys have a great day.